Welcome. I'm Nancy Altman, president of Social Security Works. Social Security was enacted 90 years ago tomorrow. It's important to celebrate the last 90 years of success. It's also important to dedicate ourselves to expanding Social Security as President Roosevelt urged us to do when he said, "This law represents a cornerstone in a structure which is being built, but is by no means complete." It's all of our jobs to continue to build on that cornerstone laid down 90 years ago. In addition to celebrating and working to expand Social Security, it's imperative that we also protect and defend it. I've been working on Social Security for 50 of those 90 years. I have never been so concerned. Donald Trump and his administration are undermining it every day. Fortunately, the people you will hear from are champions, fighting hard to improve Social Security and defend it. You will hear from each of them. The live stream will then stop, but the reporters will stay on, and the speakers will answer your questions. We'll first hear from Senator Bernie Sanders, a leading champion of our earned benefits. His Social Security Expansion Act shows us conclusively that whether we expand or cut Social Security is a question of values, not affordability. He is deeply committed to standing up for the working people of this country, and that includes fighting for their Social Security. Senator Sanders?
Well, Nancy, thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the great work you and Social Security Works has done for so many years. Today and this week, we are celebrating the 90th anniversary of Social Security, the most popular government program in our nation's history. For nearly 9 decades, through good times and bad, Social Security has paid out every benefit owed to every single American on time and without delay. Before Social Security was signed into law, half of seniors lived in poverty. Today, while the number is still too high, it is only 10%. That is not, as Elon Musk and others have suggested, the greatest Ponzi scheme of all time, end quote. In fact, that is the most successful government program of all time. And yet, despite its popularity and despite its success, Trump and Musk and others have been working overtime to try to dismantle Social Security and, importantly, undermine the confidence that the American people have in it. Since Trump took office, his administration has fired at least 7,000 workers at the Social Security Administration, shut down Social Security field offices, and made it more difficult for seniors and the disabled to receive the benefits that they have earned over the phone. Trump and Musk have also absurdly and quite intentionally lied to the American people by suggesting that millions and millions of people who are between the ages of 140 and 360 years of age are receiving Social Security system. Oh my God, the whole system is fraudulent. That, of course, is a lie. The reality is that well over 99% of Social Security checks go to the people who have earned those benefits. No one who is 150 or 200 or 300 years of age is collecting Social Security. Yet Trump and his friends continue their efforts to try to destroy Social Security. And what our legislation is about is saying, no, you're not going to destroy Social Security. We're going to expand it. This legislation would reverse all of the cuts that the Trump administration has made to the Social Security Administration. It would prevent Trump and his friends from shutting down Social Security field offices throughout our country. It would make it easier for seniors and people with disabilities to receive the benefits they have earned over the phone. Each and every year, some 30,000 people with disabilities die waiting for their Social Security benefits to be approved. That is not acceptable. Trump's cuts will make this horrific situation even worse, and we are not going to allow that to happen. And that's not all that we must do. At a time when 22% of seniors are trying to survive on less than $15,000 a year, and nearly half of older workers have no retirement savings. Our job must not be simply not to cut Social Security. We have got to expand Social Security and extend its solvency. And the way to do that clearly, and I know Social Security Works has been talking about this for years, is to lift the cap on taxable income so that the wealthiest Americans start paying their fair share of taxes. Right now, as we all know, a billionaire pays the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund as somebody makes $176,000 a year. If you lift that cap, we can substantially increase benefits, which is what we've got to do, and extend the life of Social Security for many, many decades. So, Nancy, thank you all very much. This is a huge fight. We have the American people behind us. Let's win it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Our next speaker, Finance Committee Ranking Member Ron Wyden, is another fierce fighter for our earned benefits. When Donald Trump's nominee to head the Social Security Administration was going through the confirmation process, Senator Wyden exposed his lies. Unfortunately, Republicans confirmed him on a party line vote, despite those lies. Senator Wyden responded by helping to form the Senate's Social Security War Room. He fights every day for all of us. Senator Wyden.
Nancy, thank you. And my mother would always say after a basketball game, make sure you're running with the right crowd, dear. And I'm looking at some great Social Security advocates. So that is sure the case today. Unfortunately, we are up against some staggering challenges. I can't believe that he said it, but recently a Treasury Secretary openly bragged about plans to use a back door to privatize Social Security and hand the benefits of working families over to those folks on Wall Street. I mean, the reality is we have fought and fought against those kind of ideas led by Nancy and Bernie and people on this screen for years. And now we got a lot of problems. Customer service diminished by layoffs and chaos and confusion by those Trump lieutenants. A trust fund that diminishes every year. I received an analysis from the Government Accounting Office saying that the trust fund, because of the breaks for the ultra wealthy, make the challenges even worse. And I'll tell you, this feels a lot, folks, like the way Trump handled Medicaid. Bernie and John and Debbie and I all remember, for example, Trump was relentless. I am not going to touch Medicaid. No way, no how, not going to happen. And what happened? Biggest cut ever. And Trump's so-called promise to protect Social Security, in my view, is about as real as his promise to protect Medicaid. No substance, big consequences for American seniors, and families walking on an economic tightrope, because that's Social Security today for working families, balancing the food bill against the fuel bill and the fuel bill against the rent bill. And I think it's particularly important, Nancy, that on this day when we recognize the wonderful work of Social Security, we also take note of the fact that it did not happen by osmosis. All these years, wonderful advocates, led by progressives, led by people who said, we do a lot of things that are important in this country, but what we do is have this intergenerational compact between young people and working people, and you don't get to mess with it. You don't get to mess with it. You earned your 40 quarters, you've got your Social Security, and I think the fact on this day, as we recognize the great work that's been done, we ought to recognize the fact that those progressive advocates hung in there and just never gave up. We got a lot more to do. Bernie and I are on the Finance Committee. I think it is outrageous that Social Security and lots of the tax system can be avoided by billionaires. They got something called buy, borrow, and die, and they don't pay into anything. They don't pay into anything. So we've got a lot more to do, but I'm telling you, as I started my comments, I'm looking at the screen and I'm feeling that seniors are lucky to have this group in their corner. We're going to be all in on this fight. At the Finance Committee, at the top of our agenda will be to make sure that Trump can't do to Social Security what he did to Medicaid, where he talked a big game, he said it was safe, He said nothing to worry about, and then turned around and did just the opposite. On the Finance Committee, we're going to make sure that he can't pull off something like that, where he lied to the American people about Medicaid, and I think he's going to lie to them on Social Security if he can get away with it. Thanks, everybody, and thanks for the good work. And Nancy, I'm juggling a little bit this morning, so I'll stay for some, and then I'm going to have to go, but I look forward to fighting with all this great group.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Wyden. Representative Debbie Dingell has been another Social Security champion, starting before she ran for office. Her late husband and her father-in-law were central to the enactment of Social Security and Medicare. Since entering Congress, Representative Dingell has carried that mantle with enormous effectiveness and determination. She helped to organize the Expand Social Security Caucus and fights every day for every one of the 70 million current beneficiaries and all those who hope to collect their earned benefits in the future. Representative Dingell?
Thank you, Nancy. And first of all, I just want to tell you how great it is to be here with Bernie and Ron and John Larson and Martin O'Malley and you and everybody, because we are in the fight of our life. So thank you for organizing this, and thank you to protect our checks and defend Social Security, because it's never been more important. I don't want to repeat a lot of what my colleagues have said. They're laying it out. I mean, here's the reality. As we speak, Republicans in Congress are pushing full steam ahead with an agenda that takes away benefits from millions and gives tax breaks to their billionaire donors. So, yep, that's right. They want to take from you so they can give to their donors, who, by the way, don't need Social Security or health care to survive. I just left. I'm in a car, and I apologize, but I just left a group of people that have been impacted by the Medicaid cuts, who are scared to death, and seniors who started crying, because people do not understand. There used to be a three-legged stool. There used to be pensions people could rely on. They'd have savings and their Social Security. 2 out of 3 seniors in this country who have worked hard their entire life, have put the money into Social Security, now depend on that check to get by. And we already know what Donald Trump is doing. They're scared to death about what's going to happen. I'm sorry, I call it his big shitty bill, which, Republicans are out there, supporting and voted for. If it was the largest cuts in Medicaid, Medicare, and food assistance. And while they're trying to play games with the impact dates on some of this, I have hungry seniors right now. I have people that relied on food banks, and food banks aren't getting the supply that they once need. It is not a line to say people are making a choice between medicine and eating. It is not. I just had a senior at this event that I was at that burst into tears because she said, if they take away my Medicaid, is my husband going to be out on the street? Where are we going to live? People do not understand what is happening in real people's lives every single day. And we have an administration that says that they're not going to cut Social Security, but it's been laid out by my 2 colleagues before me, and John Larson is the biggest fighter on all of this. They have cut. They're closing offices. They're cutting staff. People cannot get help. So they're just eyeing ways to defund, dismantle, and destroy Social Security. So let me be really clear to all of you. Social Security is a vital lifeline for more than 73 million Americans. When my father-in-law helped pass this 90 years ago, people were living on the street, as Bernie said. They were dying. They couldn't go to a doctor. They couldn't eat. They had no place to go. And our country found a conscience that said that people have worked hard all their life should never live like that again. And I'll be damned if anybody's going to take us back to those days. For 90 years since its founding, Social Security has not once failed to deliver checks to our seniors and beneficiaries, and we've got to do everything we can now to protect those checks in this extreme Republican agenda. So that's why Americans from every corner of our country are standing up and speaking out in defense of Social Security and the benefits they worked for and earned. And the work's not going to stop here. We're going to be having hearings in town halls. We're going to be talking about it on the floor of the House, and I know the senators are, and on the streets. And we've got to hold President Trump and House Republicans accountable. We've got to reverse Trump's cuts to health care and food assistance. We got to save Social Security and protect our checks. And we're all in this together. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Representative Dingell. Representative John Larson, our next speaker, is ranking member of the Social Security Subcommittee of the Ways and Means Committee. He's both a visionary and a pragmatist. His legislation to expand Social Security and require the wealthiest to pay their fair share has been co-sponsored by nearly the entire House Democratic caucus. He fights every day not only to expand the program, but to do the essential job of oversight that his Republican colleagues should be doing but aren't. He consistently calls out Donald Trump and his administration for the damage they are causing. Every Social Security advocate I know will celebrate when he once again becomes chairman of the Social Security Subcommittee. Representative Larson?
Well, thank you, Nancy, for those kind words. And we want to thank Social Security Works and Unrig the Economy. Nancy, and I think Bernie said it best, as did Ron. You are to Social Security what Francis Perkins was to FDR in terms of being the consistent and persistent champion. And as all of us on this call know, oftentimes it seems like a lonely spot to be in, et cetera. But because of that work, and especially the work of my colleagues, Ron and Bernie, of course, they got all their good upbringing in the House of Representatives, but they have been out there talking about this their whole careers. They don't take a day off from this because they know in the final analysis it's going to take that kind of effort. And you mentioned Debbie's history with her father-in-law, and of course the great John Dingell, et cetera, who all of us serve with, understands that that's what we have to be, committed and persistent, not just to protect Social Security, but it needs to be expanded. The last time it was expanded, Richard Nixon was president of the United States. That's simply unacceptable. And here's the facts. You've heard them from our colleagues, but this is the truth. More than 73 million Americans rely on Social Security. And as the point has been made, and it's never missed a payment. We don't have to go back to 1929. We can go back to 2008, 2009, when people saw their 401k become a 101k, and Social Security never missed benefit payment. There's a lot to celebrate about the 90th anniversary, but nothing to celebrate when 5 million of our fellow Americans get below poverty level checks from the wealthiest nation in the world in the Congress's #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly and children to get a below poverty level check. That has to change. All of us are committed to that. Expanding benefits is what's needed. Imagine, again, since 1971, there hasn't been a full expansion of Social Security across the board. It's long overdue, and people depend on it. I tell our Republican colleagues all the time as well that this is the best economic development plan that we could possibly offer. All 435 districts get on average $280 million plus in their district on a monthly basis. And that hasn't changed since 1971. And where do they spend that money? Right back into the local economy, right back to heating and cooling their homes, paying for their rent, their mortgage, getting food at the groceries and at the farmer's store, put a little gas in your automobile. That's the genius of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And that's why the persistence of Bernie is going to be needed. That's why the persistence of Senator Wyden and Debbie are so important, but most importantly, because of Social Security Works and what you've done to stay out there and making sure that people just don't celebrate the 90th anniversary of Social Security, but this is a call to action. I am so proud that Hakeem Jeffries is going to be leading the way in the House of Representatives, joined by Rich Neal and myself, but virtually, as you said, Nancy, the entire Democratic caucus, with Debbie Dingell leading the messaging on this, so that when we take back the House of Representatives, this will be our top priority, and action will take place within the first 100 days. That's what Democrats need to be talking about. Frankly, it's not just Democrats, it's about the American people, because Social Security is loved and approved by Republicans, unaffiliated, and Democrats all across the board. Let's take this fight to the Congress, but let's make sure that the public knows how important this is. And with 10,000 baby boomers a day becoming eligible for Social Security, it's time not only to speak up, but speak out and act. Thank you, Nancy, and Social Security, and to my colleagues for all that we're doing to move this effort forward.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker, Martin O'Malley, was President Biden's Social Security Commissioner. He worked tirelessly to cut wait times, eliminate backlogs, increase morale, and promulgate regulations that streamlined administration. Over the last 6 months, he's used his tireless energy and expertise to ensure that the American people know the damage and chaos that Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Stephen Miller, and the rest of the Trump administration are inflicting at SSA. Commissioner O'Malley?
Nancy, thank you. And thank you so much for everything that you and Social Security Works does all around the country. There's hundreds of events that are happening to celebrate this 90th birthday of Social Security. I want to thank Senator Wyden, Senator Sanders, Congresswoman Dingell, Congressman Larson, just such outstanding leaders and defenders of Social Security. Let me say this in a nutshell. Social Security has never been more needed by the people of the United States than it is right now. And Social Security has never needed the people of the United States to speak up and stand up for this program more than she does right now. After getting almost every service metric moving in a better direction for the people who had paid for those benefits and paid for their customer service, we were able to put the agency in a much better customer service posture, notwithstanding the fact that its staffing had been reduced to a 50-year low, while baby boomers swelled its ranks to an all-time high. And then in comes Elon Musk with his chainsaw, with the Doge team. They have gotten rid of at least 7,000 people. But actually, Nancy, I think the damage is even deeper than that. There is no openness. There is no transparency out of the current regime at the Social Security Administration. And I believe that probably a lot more than 7,000 people have left, given the hostile work environment that they have created there. We hear about field offices teetering on the brink of collapse because they just don't have the staff to see people. We've seen this rash decision to rip 1,000 people out of field offices and suddenly make them 1-800 number call takers. So President Biden, in his very first remarks since being elevated to the rank of citizen, made those remarks all about Social Security just a couple of months ago. And he said that they are trying to wreck the reputation of the program. They're trying to wreck its customer service so that they can turn enough Americans against it so that they can get away with robbing it. But they've already robbed a lot of Americans. They've already succeeded in robbing 73 million Americans of their peace of mind. There's a very, very real danger that for the very first time in 90 years, we're going to see an interruption of benefits. Many who have left the agency and who have worked in systems are surprised that hasn't happened already. But make no mistake about it, Nancy, this program is beloved, and the people are going to rise up, and they are going to demand accountability when this interruption of their benefits happens. So as we celebrate this 90 years, let us also resolve that we will speak up, we will speak out, and we will defend this program. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. We are so fortunate to have as our next speaker, Kesha Bross, NAACP Director of Opportunity, Race, and Justice. The NAACP has been instrumental in fighting to protect and expand Social Security for the last 90 years. Kesha herself is a leading advocate for social justice and an expert strategist. Kesha?
Hello, Nancy. Thank you for having me. So for some of you that don't know, the NAACP is the nation's oldest and largest civil rights organization. And what I'm really happy to report is in 2025, the NAACP found Social Security, preserving and protecting Social Security to be one of our policy priorities. So we passed a resolution at our national convention. I want to take a moment to say that this is not just, normally our NAACP really focuses on protecting the rights of Black and Brown Americans across the country. But this is a situation where everybody will have a negative impact if we cut Social Security. And this more than ever is the time that our organization, along with others, fight to protect not only our citizens' quality of life, but the ability to have human dignity. When we cut Social Security, this impacts food access, the opportunity for care, the ability to have housing, and will only continue to negatively impact working and people in retirement. I want to also state Black and Brown people will have a negative impact more so because of the working class American. And so when you think about Social Security, the NAACP will be focused on advocating through Congress to fight to protect Social Security. We will continue among our leaders to hold legal rights of all Americans and their Social Security benefits in all courts of law. We want to continue, along with our political leaders, to expand the Social Security Fund and also continue to retain jobs. And so Social Security offices and workforce is being cut across the country, and this will negatively impact us long term. The last I will say, Nancy, around the NAACP is we want to make sure that everyone understands that we continue and will continue to fight in every political platform, Republican or Democrat, to hold Social Security accountable for people to have quality of life in their retirement. So thank you so much, Nancy, for having me, and we look forward to being in this fight together.
Thank you so much. It's important to realize that when we talk about the 70 million Social Security beneficiaries, each one is an individual. It's easy to get lost in the numbers, but it's imperative that we don't. Our next speaker, Judith Brown, is here to put a face on the numbers. Her story represents that of millions of her fellow beneficiaries. Judith?
Hello, thank you, Nancy. Hello, everyone. My name is Judith Brown, and I currently live in Charlotte, North Carolina. At 37, I became disabled. It was devastating because I was a young mother to two sons that we were finding out are on the autism spectrum. While I was preparing for my first back surgery, I filed for disability. When my case was complete, I started receiving monthly benefits, and that was really so I could continue to live independently. When my sons needed additional medical support, I was able to get care for them because of their Social Security benefits. Right now, my Social Security check is very modest at only $1,531 a month, but it is a lifeline. That monthly benefit has kept my family and I for more than 20 years. Without those benefits, we would have been homeless on the street, which now has become so dangerous. I would lose my health care, my low vision doctors, my oldest son would lose his housing, and he would lose his independence. No one thinks that they're going to be the ones who will need this lifeline until they have an accident or a medical event. I know many people who were working and then they became disabled. All of a sudden, they were out of work and facing homelessness, waiting to be approved. My oldest son receives $963 a month in SSI. My youngest used to receive SSI, but came off it and now works full time. He has roommates. It isn't always easy, but he is proud to support himself and pay into the system that once supported him. Social Security has always been there for us over all these years. Right now, this administration is bent on stripping us of our benefits that we paid into during our working years. From the closure of the field offices, the laying off of thousands of workers, the longer times on the phone, and the continued attack on the historical support for seniors and people with disabilities, there is too much at stake. As a person with mobility and visual impairments, we cannot allow this to happen. Social Security must be protected and expanded. The chaos has already unleashed such incredible stress and confusion for people who rely on Social Security. This destructive plan for Social Security, the slash and crash, must be stopped. Our entire existence is on the line, and we must fight to protect Social Security. Thank you.
Thank you. When we talk about expanding benefits, we mean not just increasing them, but also adding new ones, including paid family leave and paid sick leave. Our next speaker, Molly Weston Williamson, is a senior fellow with the Center for American Progress Action Fund. As a nationally recognized expert on paid leave, she works tirelessly to making those benefits a reality. Molly?
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you so much, Judith, for driving home for all of us what this all means. Social Security matters to Americans of every age and every corner of this country. Along with seniors and adults with disabilities, America's kids count on Social Security, one of the nation's largest and most important child poverty programs. 1 in 10 children in the United States live in a household receiving Social Security benefits. Nearly 3.5 million children receive benefits in their own name each month, including following the death of a parent or for their own disability, while other kids rely on their parents' or grandparents' benefits to get by. For all those who depend on Social Security, for seniors, for disabled people, for children and families, the Trump administration's reckless actions have threatened those essential benefits over and over again. Needless and harmful staffing cuts to an agency already stretched too thin are making it harder to access needed benefits or get support for existing claimants, stoking a customer service crisis. A constantly shifting array of restrictions on service by phone and rising wait times to get an answer at all are putting barriers between Americans and their benefits. At the same time, President Trump and congressional Republicans' signature legislative accomplishment includes giveaway after giveaway to the ultra-wealthy while threatening the future of the Social Security the rest of us count on. Their new law means less money flowing into the trust fund to pay for our benefits, while the Treasury Secretary brags about the bill creating a backdoor for privatizing Social Security, the exact opposite of what we need. The American people want to see Social Security strengthened and supported, not undermined and obstructed. After 90 years, it's time to defend and expand on the Social Security Americans have built lives and livelihoods on for generations, not chip away at the cornerstone until more and more of us fall through the cracks.
Thank you so much for that. Our final speaker is Unrig Our Economy spokesperson, Sharon Francis. She and her colleagues have been working tirelessly, not just on today's event, but on this entire week of action, which will culminate this Saturday, August 16th, in rallies all across the country in support of Social Security with the loud demand, protect our checks. Sharon?
Thank you so much, Nancy. And I want to thank everyone for taking time to join us today on this call. Republican tariffs are driving up prices at the grocery store. The bills are rising the cost of healthcare and electricity, and they've even found time to hand out more tax breaks to billionaires. And now they want to mess with Social Security. And we are not going to let them take that away from us. We've heard from so many today on the importance of Social Security, the threat it faces, and the role it plays in people's lives. With over 73 million people who rely on Social Security, it's important to know now more than ever, everyone on Social Security is someone, and someone that everyone knows. This weekend, with over 50 events across the country, Americans are rallying in a massive effort to support Social Security and calling on Republicans, congressional Republicans, to stop threatening what hardworking people have earned and needed to survive. If you would like more information on how to engage on the Protect Our Checks Day of Action, we encourage you to visit www.protectourchecks.com. We also encourage you to follow Unrig Our Economy and Social Security Works on social media and visit unrigoуreconomy.org and socialsecurityworks.org to learn more about pushing back on the Republican attacks on working families. We're holding Republicans accountable for attacking our healthcare, raising costs, and for attacking Social Security. Thank you again today for attending these events throughout the week and continuing the fight for the 73 million Americans who rely on Social Security. Thank you.
Thank you, Siren. And now we'll turn to the media for questions that our speakers will answer. Thank you all who tuned in for the live stream. That will end, but the media, please stay on and either raise your hand or write questions into the chat. So with that,
Nancy, I've got